everyone, and welcome to today's Wildcard Wednesday on asking the right questions, getting the right solution. So glad you could join us today to take a fresh look at learning the right questions to ask a vendor to make sure you choose the right solution for your needs. My name is Sue Miller, and I am a Senior Program Manager here at Geotab and your host for today's expert session. So our speaker today is one of my favorite subject matter experts, Robin Kinsey, Business Development Manager here at Geotab. So Robin, please take it away.
Thank you, Sue. So we are going to be talking today about asking the right questions. If you're an end user customer and you're shopping about different things, or you're not even sure you need this next gadget, you feel like you may have enough, there are definitely pieces of technology out there that can enhance and make your fleet more efficient. And we're just going to talk about some of the things you should be thinking about before you make that final decision. So really it's about the piece of the puzzle. Yeah, and I say this all the time. I have met with tons and tons of different fleets of all different sizes, of all different makes, of all different vehicle types. And I can say that they're all very similar, but I've never met two fleets exactly the same. So it's really important to do your homework and do some discovery to make sure if you do pull that trigger, make that purchase, that you're finding the right solution that fits your needs. I personally, I'm a value shopper. I'm not going to try to talk you into buying the most expensive thing out there with all the bells and whistles, but I'm also not going to try to talk you into buying the cheap piece of things, because most of the time, honestly, you get what you pay for. But my goal here today is to make sure that you find the right solution that solves your problems or needs. So questions are very, very critical. Being a salesperson, when someone's trying to sell me something, I'm probably the worst person. I'm the kind of person that they dread talking to, because I'm just asking them question after question after question, because I want to make sure I understand. Well, I'll be honest with you. What I don't want to do is hear that marketing fluff. I want to know the real deal. Tell me really how it works. How does this solve my problem? Help me understand. And sometimes we actually want to test drive a couple of different options so I can do a comparison, so I can make sure I'm making the right decision there. So we're going to talk about some different items here, like cameras and asset tracking, communication maintenance, some of the bypass things, and compliance. Now, most of these are pertaining to truck, but it's the same type of scenario no matter what kind of fleet you have. I just happened to pick these. I could pick another 20 of them, but would just run out of time. Let's focus on cameras, because really cameras is for any fleet. Honestly, cameras is the next thing that fleets absolutely need, for all kinds of different reasons. But there's a lot to think about when it comes to cameras. The number one question is, how many cameras do you want? The most common cameras today is either forward-facing or driver-facing or a combination thereof. But I don't want you to forget about other options. We definitely have a couple of other partners that have these really nice side cameras. So if you're driving a big truck and you've got a blind spot, this camera on the side would be absolutely perfect for you. Is that something of interest? And then there's rear facing. Do I want to make sure, they can see when they back up? But you also got to think about, in some of the scenarios, what are you going to attach that rear facing camera to? Especially if this is a tractor and a trailer, it's a little bit different there. So we really got to think through there. So there's all kinds of different ones. Now, I just named 4 cameras, but some of our camera partners, you can have up to like 8 cameras, I believe. So there's lots and lots of different options there on what you want to actually look at. And then what is your bandwidth to actually manage this video program? Because in reality, there is some type of management that goes along with it. You're going to be getting reports, you're going to be getting alerts. Do you have someone on staff that can manage that? How much time can you allocate to it? And if it's honestly only 2 hours a week, then you need to make sure that you're choosing a solution that fits that type of bandwidth that you have. And is that camera actually integrated into your telematics? That's another really important one, because you want to probably set up exception rules and have reporting. And if you did say that for driver distraction, you've got this guy on camera with a cell phone, but you want to look at what trip he was on, where was he at, what was the reason. Another really big one is, do you want to see this video in real time, or is it okay if it's a delay? And then when I say real time, I really mean near real time, because there's no solution out there that's in true real time. There's always going to be a little bit of latency. And so I want to make sure that you are aware of that. And if you're okay with the delay, how much of a delay? Is it okay that you can wait until the end of the day when the truck gets back to the shop and then it uploads? Is that sufficient? Or do you need it more often than that? Can you control it? Well, how much of it do you want to actually record? Do you want it to record everything, or you only want it to record specific exceptions? And if it is specific exceptions, what exceptions do you want? How do you want to determine what that is? Are you interested in AI, artificial intelligence? Now, this is a big buzzword today, okay? But let's be very clear about AI. Many companies out there say they have it, but again, in reality, it's a little iffy. So some of the key questions you want to ask if they say they have AI is, for one thing, how many data points do you have in order to use AI? Because if I was to start a camera company today and you're my very first customer, guess what? My AI would be terrible because I've got no data to compare it to. I've not learned anything. This is artificial intelligence. I can't get smart till I actually read the book. Same thing with AI. If they don't have any previous things to read, like all these other camera data set points, they can't tell you. They can't guess what the outcome is. So really ask that question then. It's, how much experience do you have? How long have you been doing it? How much data do you have in order to make AI actually work for me? Another big question is, are you hoping to use these cameras to improve driver behavior? Okay, what kind of driver behavior? You want them to stop speeding, or you want to make sure they don't have distracted driving? Or do you want them, just to be able to see where they're going, or that they're smoking in the cab? Whatever those types of things, what's the goal here? Are you hoping cameras can improve your insurance rates? Well, talk to your insurance company if this is of interest to you. Most of the time, insurance companies will take this in effect, and this is a good way to reduce insurance rates typically. But ask them specific questions of what kind of specific information do they need to see? Is it a report? Do they need to see a trend? What is it? Or you want to improve your claims. And maybe your claims is due to distracted driving, or just driver behavior in general, again, speeding or harsh braking or anything like that, and you want to justify it. I go back to how important is that real-time access to video. And when I say that, sometimes you may get an alert, but there's some competitors out there where you don't have access to the videos. So if I saw that, or got an alert that Sue had distracted driving, I actually have to request to see the video. That's actually one of our competitors. I won't say their name, but it begins with an S, where you have to request the video out there. And then, driver alerts. You want to beep at the driver. You want to give them some type of alert that they're breaking a rule. How are you going to manage any updates they have? And here's another big one that competitor doesn't do very well at, and that's accidents going less than 5 miles per hour. This is a key question. Mr. Camera Guy, are you recording any fender benders, any accidents, anything like that when the vehicle is barely moving, going less than 5 miles per hour? The majority of accidents happen during that time frame because parking lots, things like that, are backing up or just moving very slowly. Therefore, I feel like I don't have to pay attention. We have tons of different cameras in the Geotab marketplace. I would highly encourage you to investigate them. Figure out the pros and cons, see what the major points, and many of you may say, well, oh my goodness, I don't have time to talk to every one of these people. I totally understand. That's why we have a business development manager in the marketplace that specializes in cameras. And if you give him the high points of, what's needed, he can kind of give you a little bit of guidance, and at least you can narrow down the field a little bit more. By the way, we have a business development manager in the marketplace for each one of these categories, so they are happy to have a chat with you. What I would recommend is to figure out and make a list of all the things that's a must-have, and another list of this would be nice, and figure out which one of these solutions, maybe the top 2, has all your must-have and maybe some of your nice-to-haves, and then do a pilot. Almost all of our partners will provide some type of pilot program for some period of time where you can test the waters, or even customer testimonials. Can you talk to one of their customers and have a conversation? This is just doing your due diligence. Asset tracking is another big one where you're tracking things other than the vehicle itself, like a trailer, and whether that's trailer is a flatbed or dry van or something refrigerated. But there's also tons of other assets. Forklifts is another really good one. Sometimes like a generator, or I've seen weird stuff out there like outhouses and they're trying to track. And so one of the first questions that you need to think about, okay, are all these assets powered or unpowered? Example, if it's a forklift, forklift actually has powered. So that may be a different type of tracker than you need with something unpowered, like a trailer, where you're going to have to use either a battery or solar power. Do you want all your assets in the same user interface with your vehicles? To me, this is a must-have, where you can track all your assets and all your vehicles all in the same user interface. To me, this is one of the key things that I would want as a fleet manager. And then make sure you really think about all the different things you want to track. Think about, how do you recover a lost or stolen asset today? If you're not using anything to track those assets, how much money are you losing per year? This will help you show a return on investment of, okay, I normally lose 2 trailers a year. That's going to cost me X amount of dollars. That would justify this expense. And I do realize how easy it is to lose a trailer. You would think something as big as that wouldn't be easy to lose, but it really is. As one of your customers calls and you drop it off and it gets forgotten because somebody forgot to write it down, and now you have no idea where it is. Now you can track that, including detention, so in case you need to charge your customer extra money for hanging on to that trailer. Another big one, and this goes up under the showstopper list for me, is how often do you want that asset pinged? Here at Geotab, you know we don't ping. We are event-based. Every time an event changes in the vehicle, we are recording it and transmitting it to you. But with an asset, they're almost always pinged. And that ping could be every 24 hours, 12 hours, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, whatever it is. A couple of things you got to remember. The more pings, the more battery it sucks out. And typically, more expensive your monthly recurring charge will be because it's transferring more data. The other big question mark is, how often do you want it pinged when it's not moving versus when it is moving? Like if it was just sitting there, maybe I might want it pinged anywhere from 12 to 24 hours just to make sure it hasn't disappeared on me. But if it's moving, maybe you want that tracked more frequently. You know, I'm a control freak, so I'd want to be pinged every minute just to make sure I know where that trailer is at any point in time. Now, where you put this asset tracker, does it need to be durable and weatherproof? Is it going to be in the sun? Is it going to be in the heat? Is it going to be in the snow? Is it going to be in the ice? Is it going to get wet? Therefore, those are different additional things you need to be thinking about. Again, we have a lot of different partners that is integrated with Geotab. Each one of them are integrated to different levels. Each one of these partners has strengths and weaknesses, their solutions. You got to go back to your gotta have list and nice to have list and figure out which one of these would be the best fit. And again, I think all of these partners can do a pilot program with you to figure out what is the best fit for your fleet. Driver communication, now that's a big one. If you are a smaller fleet, maybe you don't have driver communications today just because you haven't invested, or if you're a larger fleet, maybe you do, but maybe you're not happy. Driver communications is a lot of different things. Some people call it traditional mobile comm. It's really the communication between the driver and the company in near real time, but that communication could be pushing a load to the driver. It could be pushing a message to the driver. Most of the time, it's some type of connection between the TMS and the ELD solution. Most of the time, it incorporates truck safe routing and usually scan features of scanning documents and signature capture. But some of the questions to ask is your driver frustrated because they're using 6 different applications? Would it be useful to combine that all in one? Most of the time, driver communication application can help you combine all those things so the driver's only looking at one. If you're getting this driver communication from your TMS, most of the time, it has limited capabilities. It's like a scaled down version, or you've got one that doesn't work well with your TMS. You just feel like it needs to be customized because it really doesn't fit all the things you need it to have. Those are some basic discovery questions when it comes to driver communication you should really consider. Again, this is a really, really important one because with driver shortage the way it is today, we want to keep our drivers happy. And this is actually one of the key things that either can frustrate your drivers or make them happy. We have a couple of partners that does this in the marketplace, and again, both of these partners will work with you and show you demos, and you could talk to customer other success stories of theirs. Maintenance. Maintenance is such a critical issue. Again, if you're maybe a smaller fleet where you're tracking your maintenance on an Excel spreadsheet, or you're a larger one that maybe has a maintenance application, but again, you're not happy with it because it doesn't solve all your problems or your needs, and maybe it didn't grow with you as you grew. So some of the things to think about is your total number of assets that you want to manage, whether that's vehicle or assets or equipment or things like that. Today, what's your biggest challenge of managing all of those pieces and parts? What tools are you using today? Like I mentioned, maybe an Excel spreadsheet, maybe something else. Would it be nice for that maintenance application to be integrated with your telematics device along with fuel cards? And how are you managing DBIR defects? How is that defect being communicated back to your maintenance? How are you tracking it? I know it's in my Geotab, but to have it in your maintenance application to determine whether or not you have the part that they need, or you can track the work orders. Another thing to consider is different applications do different things. Is it relevant if you outsource your maintenance, or is it relevant if you do in-house maintenance, or a combination thereof? Most fleets that I know of does some type of hybrid. And how do you track your total fleet spend today? You could certainly do it in a maintenance application, but how do they do it? What are the specific parameters they use in order to calculate that? Any maintenance problems, how does that get communicated from the field to the maintenance or management team? I was telling somebody the other day in a demo, because I read this article, Geotab is really great about giving you these engine fault codes. But this article said it takes an average of 28 days for a driver to communicate a problem with their truck back to maintenance and management. Can you believe that? 28 days. Maybe you can if you're in a fleet. This will be a good way to combine my Geotab, the engine fault codes into your maintenance to determine, again, if you have the part, okay, this fault means blank. I know it's going to take 4 hours. He's on the road. We need to schedule him in. Are you tracking the cost of all the invoices from shops? Do you have an application to do that? I know many of the smaller shops, man, they just spend a lot of time tracking down invoices and trying to total. I mean, it's almost like a full-time job just trying to track down invoices, and then at the end of the year trying to combine all the costs there. How are you tracking what work your mechanics are actually doing today? Does your maintenance application do that? Is that important to you? Got to go back to, if that's not a showstopper, that's a nice to have, 2 different categories there. Are you managing current inventory levels of parts today? How are you doing that? How do you know you have the part on the shelf? Is it a manual process? Do you want it more automated? In today's world, we want to make sure we have the part because we're a microwave society. We want everything now. So do you have the part on the shelf? And do you know when the best time it is to replace your vehicle? I mean, there was a time when we ran vehicles till the wheels fall off, but we don't really do that anymore because there's a perfect scenario of when maintenance starts costing you more than it would be to purchase a new truck. Do you know when that time is? I can't tell you the perfect time because it really depends upon the truck, what kind of work it does, how much repairs has been happening. But with maintenance applications that'll help you, is that important to you? Another one is, do you own your fleet? Because in most leasing agreements, the leasing company will handle the maintenance for you. Maybe you have a combination. Does your maintenance application allow you to handle both of those? Are you managing your average annual maintenance spend? What's your percentage there at the end of the year? To me, a nice one would be, what's causing my breakdowns? Is there a trend? Is it because all my tires are going bad? Okay, well, I need to switch from this tire manufacturer to this other tire manufacturer so that I can stop having breakdowns? Are you tracking your breakdowns? Is that important to you? So these are all great questions to ask. Now, sometimes this is all pertaining to a maintenance application. In today's world, though, we also have predictive maintenance. That's not a maintenance application, that's in addition to. So is that important to you? Is that something that we should have a conversation about? These are tons of different maintenance partners that we have here at Geotab. All of them are integrated within the platform. If you want to know more information about whether you're just looking for a maintenance application or predictive maintenance or anything like that, we're happy to have that conversation with you. IFTA. Well, we all know that IFTA is one of the biggest pain in the butt there is when it comes to filing. There's always one that person that is running around at the end of each quarter trying to get all the information necessary in order to file their IFTA or their IRP. Normally they are filed each quarter. It's a tax credit. Most everyone who crosses state lines or any type of border lines are filing this report. So how much time does this person spend either on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis pulling all of this information? Now, at Geotab, we can provide you some of the information that's needed to file this report. As a matter of fact, you can automatically run our IFTA report within my Geotab, and it incorporates beginning and exiting odometer for state, by driver, and all of this good stuff. But again, back in reality, you need more than that. You got to have documentation to prove that you're in that state. And of course, we have the trip reports, but again, we all know that there's more to it than that. If you're audited, do you need support? Who handles that for you? But the biggest thing is I think I would add up how much is costing me per month or per quarter to manage that. And is it of value to have someone else do it, for one who's an expert and who can help you during audits and get all that information for you? We do have a couple of options in the marketplace for IFTA, and that's IFTA Plus and ProMiles, two great partners that would be happy to have a conversation with you. Waste station bypass. So this is a big one in the heavy duty truck market. I've gone down the interstate before and, you know, there's 12 trucks lined up at the weigh station. You know, how much money is it costing you to either be in line, wait your turn, get weighed, to go out? Again, we can do an analysis to determine if this is something really useful for you. One of the key questions that gets asked here is, I don't know, Robin, I don't know if I can use a weigh station bypass because my CSA score is low. Well, that doesn't mean that this cannot assist you. It does mean that you would still have to stop probably more with a lower CSA score than you would a higher CSA score. But it's definitely still worth exploring because these vendors can tell you or give you an estimate. They say that for every weigh station you are able to bypass, it saves you just a little less than $9 on the average. Sometimes it's more depending on the wait in line. Again, something to think about to offset whether or not this is of value to you. And don't guess. Have the report run so they can know exactly what they can help you with and what they can't. What's it going to hurt to at least do an analysis and find out? We do have a couple of great partners in the marketplace that can help you. Both TribeWise and PrePass does weigh station bypass. Toll bypass. This is another really big one. I absolutely hate toll bypass, but unfortunately, I want to ride on those roads because they're typically faster. But there's some roads that you have no choice. It's all toll bypass. What we want to do is make it all electronic so that I don't have to fish out my, it used to be nickels and dimes, and now it's dollars and bills and that you got to throw in the bucket there. But what happens sometimes is, you know, this driver paid, and then you get all these individual bills. Would it be beneficial for you just to get one bill a month for toll bypass? And if you combine them, is there a way to get a discount because you're combining them all in one instead of all these separates? That's something to think about, and that's something that some of these vendors can help you with. Some of these vendors will actually pay your tolls in advance, so you get to hold on to your money for a little bit because they're going ahead and taking care of that for you. And it just helps reduce your cost overall. So if you're not using one today, certainly I would highly recommend you explore it. I think this is a great time saver and a great cost reduction. If you're interested, and again, they've got these programs where you can test it to see whether or not this is a good fit for you. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe you don't go through enough toll bypass in order to make it relevant to you. Okay, now you know. But don't guess. Do the analysis and determine whether or not this is a good fit for you. Our marketplace partner out there that can help you with that is PrePass. Compliance. So with ELD and the hours of service, there's lots of different things that you have to be aware of because it will impact your CSA scores, and in this industry, that is very important. So do you have visibility to know what the riskiest locations are, the riskiest drivers? How are you managing your driver qualification files? Again, not hard to do, but just, you know, a pain. It's how many hours, how much money you're spending for someone to do that. Do you think you feel good if DOT was to audit you? You know, what would happen, how you would do? Do you have everything that you need? Is it easily accessible? And are you doing a good job matching all those supporting documents against those logs? We have a great partner out there. Lytics Compliance is a fantastic partner that we have that can help you with DOT audits, your driver qualifications, help provide you tons of different reports each month so you know who's your riskiest drivers, your riskiest locations, and they're very easy to work with. So in summary, I'm going to go back to ask questions. You cannot ask too many questions. I mean, you're the customer. You are right. You keep asking questions until you have a great understanding of the product and to ensure that that solves your problem. Again, make a couple of lists. These are my showstoppers. I gotta have these things. And there's another list of these would be nice to have, but not a showstopper. Again, I'm a value shopper. I want to make sure that I'm getting the best bang for my buck. And I'm willing to invest a little bit of time up front in order to test drive a couple of different solutions. And I'm happy to do analysis because I really want to know if I'm a good fit. Maybe I'm not a good fit. I don't know. But it's amazing how we have a perception of our fleets, but a report can help us see what's really happening out there. So I highly encourage you to test a couple of these or have these analysis done. So make sure you get the best fit for the best value. So Sue, that kind of wraps it up. Is there any questions?
There is. The first question, is there a fuel card integration for Germany or Switzerland?
That is an excellent question, which I do not have the answer to. I'm not overly familiar with those two countries. I don't support them. And I don't know if you use the same fuel cards, but here's what I will tell you. If the integration is not done, it absolutely can be done. We have our software development kit, our SDK that has all the APIs. So if the integration is not there, let's get it done.
Fantastic. And then where do I find the marketplace partners that you've been referring to?
Go out to Geotab/marketplace out up there on the web, and you can either search for them or they're also grouped in categories. Definitely go out there and look. I just want to give you a heads up warning. Don't be overwhelmed because there's like 200 different solutions out there. Some of the solutions on the marketplace are free, like free add-ins, free reports. So you can actually use filters and determine what you're looking at. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your Geotab reseller, and we'll be happy to have more conversations with you.
I guess that's going to be a wrap for today. So thanks again, Robin, for sharing your expertise. This was really, really wonderful. So until next time, I'm Sue Miller, and on behalf of myself and everyone here at Geotab, thank you for joining us today. We'll see you all next time. Same Geotab time, same Geotab channel.